Give me 2 secs. I've only just woken up. Well, I woke up like an hour ago, but I've only just woken up. I also did that an hour ago. Whatever. Welcome to the musical show. I did a hell of a lot of re-listening to albums I formerly had as nines because I've hardly given any out. And this is the result. Let's start off quick. I need to fly through these because there's loads. Starting off with M83's Fantasy, which is a truly beautiful album that progresses wonderfully and has some beautiful choruses towards the end of most songs. The production is perfection and the instrumentals are mostly great, even if some are kind of empty. The vocals are decent and fit the music beautifully, as does Kayla on Cool Nuit, one of the best tracks on the album. I don't know how to pronounce Nuit, whatever that is. Is it a French word? I mean, it might be. M83's French and that. It opens with a beautiful interlude and closes with a 7-minute long Dismemberment Bureau, which is an absolutely phenomenal way to end an album. It progresses perfectly, it's got such a beautiful ending, and yeah, it's a beautiful way to close the book, to coin a phrase. But it does have its duds, such as Deceiver, which is probably about 3 minutes too long. And there is some poor lyricism here and there, with there being some obvious rhymes. And you really don't notice it because you can't understand a word he's saying half the time. But, still, beautiful album that's still up there with one of the best, 10, 15 so far this year. 8.6 out of 10. Moving on to Lance Skywalker's Audio Didactic. As you remember, I had this as top 3 album of the year as a 9.6. And as I said, given that I rarely give 9s out anymore, I thought I'd return to the ones that I gave earlier in this year to see which ones are still 9s. Spoiler alert, none of them are. I do this in order of ratings that ones are reviewed. I've still got Ray and Kalela to re-review, but they might still be 9s, so I didn't really pay attention to them. The others, I was pretty sure would have grown off me pretty significantly. I mean, Fancy didn't grow off me much, but it was a 9, so if it grew off me at all, it would go down, and I knew it would, so. This one definitely isn't, though. The beats are basic and amateur on some occasions, and some songs can be messy. And it's also a bit pretentious, such as the Sample Dog interlude, which just makes me cringe. And it's just annoying. But the instrumental in the background's pretty good. IG is very inaccessible. As much as I still love it and think it's brilliant, and I love the sort of gratingness of it, it's a complete mess. But I do want to shout out the last 2 tracks. Beantown, the title track, Audio Didactic, and NI Radio Whispers, because as much as Beantown is corny, that and the title track blend into each other so well and so cohesively in a way that you rarely see these days, and they are both just fantastic tracks. And NI Radio Whispers gives a unique idea that you rarely ever see in music, and I think it works perfectly. Overall, great album with amazing gritty production and a great sound. And I also like Lance's vocals, as his voice has a charm to it. Not as amazing as I thought it once was. There's clear flaws, but it's still pretty fucking great. 8.5 out of 10. Moving on to Catherine Polachek's Desire I Want to Turn Into You, which I had as top 3 of the year, actually. This is why. That's gone down to a 9.8, by the way, but it's not really that big of a downgrade. It's not worth re-reviewing, I just want to say that. Basically, Craven Say Commissaris duds. That's all I'm going to say about that. But moving back to Catherine Polachek, this really did show me that I gave too many 9s away. I had this as 9.7. This used to be near perfect, but it's still just, fantastic. It's bloody great. The instrumentals, aside from the basic empty sort of meh ones, were amazing and chaotic, which I loved about the album. It was so goddamn unique. And the vocals, while sometimes annoying, were bloody great. And she shows her bloody vocal talent on some of the songs when she isn't overusing autotune for no reason, because, she can sing. The lyrics were mostly passable, but the constant singing of billions, and billions, as much as it makes sense, it works better on paper than it does in execution. Tracks such as I Believe and Butterfly Letter Note are truly outstanding and showcase the best of Polachek's abilities when it comes to literally everything. But the actual verses on the kind of overrated opener, Welcome to My Island, could have been so much better and were sort of corny. She's not a very good rapper. She's got the pop artist rapper style, which is usually not very good. Thank God that the chorus was so good on that track, otherwise it would have been pretty bad. Overall, still brilliant, but as I said, nowhere near as near perfect as I once thought it was. 8.3 out of 10. Moving on to Larry June and The Alchemist with The Great Escape, where the beats were mostly fantastic, although there were one or two average duds. The performances were largely great, but there was the odd bad verse by June here and there with some pretty poor lyricism. But the features, especially Big Sean weirdly, who's usually ass on features, were outstanding, and he truly shined, outclassing Larry June though, which is a bit of a shame. The great features, most of the features outshine Larry June. The features were on point. Had some dud verses, dud beats, and dud tracks, but had some phenomenal tracks, and it's not boring, it's a great listen. Shut the fuck up. 8.3 out of 10. Moving on to Yves Tumor with Praise the Lord Who Choose But Which Does Not Consume, or simply Hop Between Worlds, which is a really long album title for no reason. Solid enough rock album with decent instrumentals, although some towards the back end of the album are a bit empty and annoying. And great tracks such as Ebony Eye. I don't know how I thought that was the worst track on the album. That was delusional. The vocals were fine aside from Operator, which sounds like a David Bowie impression by someone who's heard about 2 David Bowie tracks in their life a decade ago while on drugs. It's shite. But I do like a lot of the ideas and how punky the production sounds too, especially on like the good tracks where the production isn't empty. And overall, this is not a 9, but it's a solid album, 7.6 out of 10. Moving on to Kimbra's A Reckoning, which has grown off me fully now. She manages to try to create some sort of experimental hyperpop album and ends up with just some sort of rip-off of Reputation. As much as La Type is a solid trap track, in fairness, is this really like the limit of what the album could have been? Is this really the album to its full potential? When there's tracks such as Replay and Foolish Thinking, which is beautiful. But yeah, as I said, Gun, it's kind of mid. And the lyrics was subpar in some sections. As much as it's still great and enjoyable, it could have been so much more, I think. It did not reach its full potential as an album, 7.6 out of 10, though, still good. Moving on to Casey's TW 2052, which has grown off me a lot for sure. Basically, the trend is all of these albums have grown off me. That's why I'm re-reviewing them. The production is still incredible, and the beats provide a brilliant, cohesive atmosphere that rivals the best albums of the year. Might even be the best produced album of the year. Ooh. But the vocals suck. The autotune is mixed in with his vocals awfully, and they are some of the worst I've heard pretty much all year in retrospect. But still, the production is the best production I've heard all year, to be honest with you. And there's tracks such as No Call where he doesn't sing, which is one of the best trap tracks I've ever heard, to be honest. But yeah, in a nutshell, the production carries because it's just so phenomenal. And the vocals kind of suck and bring it down a bit. But still, they don't suck enough to make the album truly mid or bad. It's still, well, the EP mid or bad. It's still great. 7.6 out of 10. Moving on to Gracie Abrams' Good Riddance, which is a pretty bog-standard, sad little teen pop folklore ripoff and is not a 9.2. The vocals are okay. They're not... I'm not a fan of a style, but, like, they're okay. I Should Hate You is a fucking banger. The lyrics are corny, though, but... You know, the lyrics aren't bad in some sections. And the instrumentals are solid enough. It's never that bad, but it's rarely anything special aside from, as I said, I Should Hate You or like The Blue. I mean, I Should Hate You isn't really special, it's just a banger. But yeah. A album that just like exists, I guess, it's good enough. 6.8 out of 10. And at the bottom of the re-reviews that I did, it's NBA Young... Jesus Christ, I'm nearly an hour into it. No surprise here, I've reviewed about 8 or 9 albums. NBA Youngboy's Richest Op, which I gave a 3.7 at first. This one's actually grown on me. It's really not that bad. It's probably one of NBA Youngboy's better releases in recent memory. The beats, while repetitive for the most part, are okay, and the more like synth-reliant ones aren't too bad, and like there are some menacing ones here and there that are great. The performances are solid, and YB does have his usual great delivery, even if he sacrifices enunciation to do so. Fuck the Industry Part 2 was entertaining as he pretty much went for like the entire industry. That's why it's called Fuck the Industry. But like the disses were pretty fucking trash, and like the J. Cole one was his fault. The Drake one, like I don't know how he didn't know he fucks with Dirk. Considering he pretty much put him onto the scene. And Lil Yachty, what the fuck did Lil Yachty do? What did Lil Yachty do? Tracks like What You're Gonna Do, though, do exist and are fire. But most of the album is pretty bang average, and there are duds such as like Bitch Let's Do It, which has the exact same beat as Big Truck, just ever so slightly better, and it's ruined that track for me. I think I kind of liked Big Truck, but like it's a shit song now because of that one being just a better version than it, and still being mid as hell. Mid album overall, and it's a bit cringy, but YB's streak of not having a bad one this year does indeed continue. And a streak of fives does as well. Although I do still need to listen to I Rest My Case. I think it might grow on me a little bit. 5.9 out of 10. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've listened to 9 projects from this week. So we're going to finally get into them. Starting off with Nessa Barrett's Heaven as a Teenage Girl, which is a blatant Billie Eilish rip-off without the talent. The lyrics are really cringy, and like, as much as they have a good sort of morals, I guess, for lack of a better word, they're still cringe. They're like the cringe type of feminism, do you get me? There's like making genuinely good points, and there's also that. Just go for like the cringe sad teen pop shit. The production was a bit too quiet, and the instrumentals weren't really that interesting. The feminism, I suppose, was sort of fake deep. Did you get me? Like, it could have been so much more. It could have like genuinely made some good points. Could have genuinely done some like activism in a like little way, musically. Do you get me? But nah. Tracks such as the title track of Bang Bang showcase the worst lyricism I've pretty much ever heard. And the only positive thing I can even mention is the existence of Motel Call, which is still corny, but has a nice sort of like slow chorish instrumental. I do think it should have been like 2.5 minutes long though, as it did drag on a lot. Dogshit EP that adds her to the list of terrible TikTok artists. Bella Porsche looks like Beethoven to her. She can write a semi-decent teen pop track at least. 1.5 out of 10. Moving on to the midweek drop of Smiley's EP, I Did What I Did. It needn't have dropped at all. It's full of awful lyricism, downright annoying delivery from Smiley, as always, and basic, pretty mid beats. But what I will say is that Smiley sounded hungry on Long Night, and the beat was pretty solid. And like overall, it was a pretty good track. Probably his best track yet. Probably his only good one as well. There's a few other tolerable ones, such as like Fast Route, but that aside, it's awful. The epitome of awfulness in this album is definitely UN Goes, besides some of the worst lyricism I've ever heard. Here's an example or two, or maybe even 3, I don't know. Awful EP slash mixtape slash whatever, I don't even know what it is. That is unsurprisingly not worth your time at all. What Drake sees in this guy, I don't even know. 2.1 out of 10. Moving on to The Go, DDG's Maybe It's Me, which, yeah, it isn't as bad as some other albums I've heard this year, but it is still pretty dog shit. Tracks such as the opener Famous and Pioneer are genuinely unbearable in every way, but on, say, like Hard on Myself, DDG shows that he can actually rap and has talent when he actually has a solid beat, because some of the beats here were pretty boring and trash. But I'm Geekin' is literally 3 out of 12 songs, and one of them has a Lil Tyler feature. And if you know anything about Lil Tyler, he's shit. Did you not hear his fucking cypher on XXL? But yeah. The remixes have good features. Even Lil Tyler had one of his better performances. He was okay. But, like, it was still awful. Like, the OG. And you didn't notice it end, and it just got really confusing, because, like, you didn't notice you were on the next version of I'm Geekin' until the middle of the next version of I'm Geekin'. It was fucking annoying. Overall, there are little bits of talent and like bit of potential here and there shown, and the odd okay beat, which, I mean, they were never that bad, but there were some like pretty shitty ones. But there's somehow unmentioned god-awful lyricism in a fair few songs. Here's an example or 2, or 3, or 4. And awful performances from DDG really make it live up or down to its low expectations. 2.6 out of 10. Moving on to Rita Ora's You and I, while tracks such as The Opener and Girl in the Mirror are bops, these bops aren't many. They aren't of as much amount as you would have hoped in a 12-track album, and it brings it down a lot. It's bland, boring, corny, and brings nothing new to the table, aside from these couple good tracks, and is overall yet another boring and uninteresting crappy pop album. Not really one to be mentioned again. This is so forgettable. It's not even so bad it's like gonna be remembered for that. It's just boring. 3.1 out of 10. Moving on to Lil TJ's 222, and yeah, it does sound like Lil TJ, and it's a good comeback album in that way. It showcases some pretty good melodic trap here and there, but some trash such as Hollow My Heart. His vocals and rapping weren't that bad either, and I didn't notice any like really awful bars. Amongst this, I admire the introspectiveness of Foster Baby, even if it's a bit of a mess. As much as it's hardly a lyrical masterpiece, credit needs to give him where it's due, as it does the job. However, the best song is Easily Grateful, with the beautiful soul performances in it amplifying the song's quality a lot. In other songs, the sampling, while basic, sounded pretty good. I'd also like to give him credit for trying drill on a couple of tracks. He even got a good Fabio verse, even if he didn't mix them in very well. And he caused the existence of a track with him and Youngboy that was surprisingly good. He had a damn good performance. Fair play to him in Project Wars. It's mid and has a lot of duds, but I do admire the high highs that this album does have. It's enjoyable mid. It's nearly not mid. 5.7 out of 10. Moving on to J Hus's Beautiful and Brutal Yard. The whole baby hidden message in the album cover makes me cringe, but like that's the only thing I'll remember from this album, to be honest. The Afrobeat stuff was basic and boring, and the drill was okay, but again forgettable. And as much as there were good tracks and good performances here and there isn't anything memorable about this album whatsoever. It's just there and exists. The lyricism, I suppose, is memorable, but that's for the wrong reasons because it's terrible and more cringe than the cover somehow. Mid-album, that's pretty damn forgettable, but lyrics aside, it's really not that bad. 5.8 out of 10. Moving on to Dave East's Fortune Favours the Bold. The production is very similar in the sort of late 2000s, early 2010s trap sound and the samples it goes for. And like it doesn't sound bad by any means, but it's hardly anything special either. His rapping reminds me of a Waste Tyler the Creator, and like it's not bad, but like it is worse. He can write a good chorus though. The one on like It's a Lot is pretty damn catchy, for example. But the features didn't do much at all. But I do want to give credit to Coi Leray for going on Sex So Good, as it was clearly a new venture for her, outside of a sort of sample track home. But yeah, it wasn't bad either. It was a decent enough verse. My main issue with the album, though, is that in some tracks, the production is just amateur and the mixing is so off, especially on the actual raps. Still, solid album, just very uninteresting. Been saying a lot about a little here. 6.3 out of 10. Moving on to Zach Beer's Learn to Fly. As much as I do admire the artist for mostly going into new sound that I featured, the sound is just okay. The features aside from maybe Sainte, who was awful, were good throughout. Especially Lil Yachty, showing that he can do something that isn't psychedelic rock. Let's Start Here's an 8.9, by the way, now. That rating's got down. I can't be bothered re-reviewing it, though. I just want to say that. But yeah, let's be honest, he very rarely does have good performances outside of psych rock, but here he does. I would like to hear him try trap again. Just for like even like a 5-track EP. Just to see if he's improved at that field at all. Holster was an alright track, to be fair. I think it was good on both tracks, to be honest, Lil Yachty, that he was on. Overall, it's left field for most of the rappers, but also so middle safe for actual music, do you get me? But there are duds, and overall, it is just passable. As I said, the sound's pretty basic, as much as it isn't basic for the rappers on it. 6.5 out of 10. And at the top is Voyager's Fearless in Love. The highs on this album are phenomenal, and the way that Prince of Fire progresses is truly incredible. It's one of the best tracks I've heard all year, and definitely the best metal track all year. Amongst this, Dreamer is a banger, and Ultraviolet has incredible guitar work. A lot of the time, the production on Voyager albums let it down, but on this one they mastered it. Get it? Because you master music. As it was pretty much perfection. However, in the more synthy tracks, it felt a bit formulaic. And not as good. I definitely prefer the more metal tracks. A whole album of songs like Ultraviolet, for example, would easily be an album of the year contention, but duds say like Twisted do bring the album down. Pretty damn far away from being anywhere near album of the year. Great album that's really enjoyable though. I do want to say that. 7.9 out of 10. There you go. 20 minutes later, we're finally done with that. Well, we're finally done with that. I just want to shout out the Ice Spice Deluxe. I'm not going to review it, but the tracks were, overall, as a medium, pretty good. How High is her best track to date, in my eyes. So, yeah. It's overall a 6.5 out of 10 of the deluxe because Butterfly Coup brings it down because it's awful. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 albums / EPs. There's actually quite a few EPs here, to be honest, that I'm going to listen to this week. Starting off with, of course, Nas with Magic 2, featuring 50 Cent, and the track with 21 Savage. 11 songs, 31 minutes long. I'm expecting a pretty damn high 8. This is going to be like top 10 album of the year contention, I think. Because what I've heard is absolutely phenomenal. Moving on to Paris, Texas. This album could also be top 10 of the year, to be honest, with Midair, which features Kenny Mason and Tizo Touchdown. 16 songs, 50 minutes long. Has one of the best tracks of the year on it. It's going to be an 8 as well. Moving on to Valet and Harry Fraud's Virtuoso. Harry Fraud with another short album. Is this his thing? Just like really short albums? He did one with Currency and it was phenomenal. It's going to feature O3 Greedo, Action Bronson, Zed Money, RXK Nephew, Twister, Saba and Mavie. Saba again. That's nice. Who was on the Toby Lou album? Oh, that was Farada. That's going to be a 7. Shout out New Jeans with New Jeans' second EP, Get Up. 6 songs, 12 minutes long. I suppose I can technically say, ooh, it's the second in the series, so like I won't listen because I'm stupid and it gives me a dumb excuse to get out of listening to an album. Because I'm autistic and like shit annoys me because I'm a weirdo. But like, if I ever do that, it basically means I don't want to listen to it. So I might just start saying that. I don't really want to listen to this one. I could make up a stupid excuse, but yeah. It's only 12 minutes long, but like, it's not going to be one of the worst of the year. It's not going to be one of the best. It's really not worth it to me. I don't really want to listen to it. I'm going to skip it. Of course, Blair are dropping the Ballad of Darren, 10 songs, 36 minutes long. I'd love it to be better than the Gorillaz album. That one's grown off me to around a 78 now, out of 100, 7.8 out of 10. I'm just going to, like, reveal ratings that have gone, like, down for me, that I don't re-review in, like, these things. So, yeah. But, 10 songs, 36 minutes long, I'm going to say 8. Moving on to Babyface Ray with Summer's Mine, which, no, it's not. It's going to be Post Malone's, featuring Los and Nutty on a track called Le Tyler Flow. I don't think I'd want a Le Tyler Flow, especially with that Why the fuck does this have a West Side Gun feature? Also features King Hendrix. 4. Fuck it. West Side Gun feature brings it up. Moving on to Block Party with the High Life EP featuring Kenny Hoopla. 4 songs, 30 minutes long. 8 again. This is going to be a really good week. Moving on to Yellow Card with Club Hood Eyes featuring Pierce the Veil and Dashboard Confessional. 5 songs, 80 minutes long, 5. And at last, everyone's least favourite band, Greta Van Fleet with Starcatcher. It definitely looks like they are still ripping off Led Zepp. I'm going to say a 6. Because, like, it's not going to be painfully bad or anything, is it? But yeah, could be a damn good week. About, 5 of these albums / EPs of 8 out of 10 potential. Right, I've not listened to any of them. I am literally gonna close this and listen to Magic 2. I cannot wait. I am gonna plow through these. I'm also gonna do the same thing with like some 8 out of 10 albums that have grown off me that I just want to shout out. So yeah, and re-listen to like revise like album of the year list, obviously, because yeah. But thank you very much for watching. And I will see you next week where we'll do the same thing again. How long's this? Oh, it's only 25 minutes. That's short by my standards these days. Shit. I somehow forgot. I don't listen to movie soundtracks, that's why I forgot. But I forgot to shout out the fucking Barbie album. Which... Jesus Christ. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. Barbie the album, of course, featuring Lizzo, Dua Lipa. Lizzo on Pink, Dua Lipa on Dance of the Night. Barbie World, of course, Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice. Speed Drive, of course, called Charlie XCX. I think that one's already out. Watati with Carol G and Aldo Ranks. Man I Am, Sam Smith, a bit rich. Journey to the Real World, Tame Impala. I'm Just Ken by Ryan Gosling. Hey Blondie by Dominic Fike. Why did I say it like that? Home by Haim. What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. What the fuck's gonna happen in the movie? Forever and Again. The Kid Laroi, Silver Platter, Khaled, Angel, Pink Panthers, what a fucking banger. Ew, it's got Gale on Butterflies. Choose Your Fighter by Ava Max. That's going to be another Ava Max basic ass track. That bangs, probably. Barbie Dreams, 50-50 in Cali. Oh, 50-50. They're actually going to make it to the mainstream. They ain't just going to be a one-hit wonder, hopefully. Because Cupid is fucking fire. 17 songs, 44 minutes long. If you want to listen to that, do. It's apparently mid. It has The Kid Laroi and Khaled in consecutive tracks. It probably is. In a bit.